The stars were strange tonight. Lieutenant Commander Kate Bennett stood on the bridge of the CSS Defiant, watching the distant explosions through the viewport. Each flash of light meant another ship had died. She had been watching this war for 3 years now, and she was tired of it. The Galactic Council's ships fought against the Vexnar Empire's forces near the edge of human space. Blue energy beams crossed with purple ones. Ships exploded in silent bursts of light. Space debris floated everywhere like deadly snow. "Report," Kate said to her crew. "The Council lost 2 destroyers in the last hour," said Lieutenant Ryan Cooper, at the sensor station. "The Vexnar are pushing them back again." Kate sighed. This war had been going on for decades. The Galactic Council was a group of alien races who had united against the Vexnar Empire. Everyone in the galaxy had to pick a side except for one group: humans. Admiral John Davis entered the bridge. His gray hair and tired eyes showed the stress of keeping Earth neutral. "Status? Same as yesterday, sir. They're killing each other, and we're watching." "That's our job," Davis said. "We protect human space. We don't take sides in alien wars." The Admiral walked to the communication station. "Captain Lisa Clark wants to speak with you." Kate took the call. Captain Clark commanded the CSS Guardian, stationed near the human colony of Sparta. "Commander Bennett," Clark said on the screen, "have you seen the new reports? Vexnar ships are moving closer to our territories. They've been spotted near the Ross system." "The Ross system is civilian," Kate said, concerned. "Just mining colonies and trade stations." "I know. Earth Command says we should continue regular patrols only. No aggressive actions." Kate felt frustrated. She understood the need to stay neutral, but watching civilians get caught in the crossfire was hard. The galaxy had been at war for so long that most species didn't remember peace. The Galactic Council included the tall blue Karani, the insect-like Threx, and the energy beings called Lumina. They all fought against the Vexnar, who were strong and cruel warriors with gray skin and glowing red eyes. Humans had only made contact with aliens 50 years ago. At first, both sides had tried to recruit them. The Council offered technology and protection. The Vexnar offered conquered systems and power. Earth chose to trade with the Council but refused to join the war. It was a dangerous balance. "Contact from the Karani Embassy," announced the communication officer. "Ambassador Tevex wants to meet with Admiral Davis." Davis nodded. "Put him through." The tall blue alien appeared on the screen. His 4 arms moved as he spoke. "Admiral Davis, the Council requests Earth's help once more. The Vexnar are growing stronger. Your technology could turn the tide of this war." "Ambassador, our position hasn't changed. Humanity will defend our space, but we won't join this conflict." "What if the conflict comes to you?" "The Vexnar see all who aren't with them as enemies. Your neutrality won't protect you forever." The screen went dark. Davis turned to Kate. "He's right about one thing. The Vexnar are getting bolder. They've been testing our borders more often." Kate thought about the human colonies spread across 50 star systems. New Earth, with its green oceans. Mars, Colony Alpha, where terraforming was almost complete. The asteroid mining operations in the belt, all of them vulnerable if the war spread to human space. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" "Go ahead, Commander." "We can't stay neutral forever. Every day we hear reports of Council worlds burning, billions dead. Today it's them. Tomorrow it could be us." Davis sat in the captain's chair. He looked older than usual. "I know. Earth Command knows. That's why we're building up our fleet. New ships, new weapons. If war comes to us, we'll be ready." Just then alarms blared through the bridge, red lights flashed. "Multiple Vexnar ships jumping out of hyperspace," Ryan shouted. "They're attacking Council Supply Convoy Delta 9. Kate ran to her station. "That convoy was supposed to pass near human space. Are any of our ships in the area?" "The CSS Horizon is patrolling Sector 7-2. Captain Steve Miller commanding." They watched the tactical display as 5 Vexnar warships attacked the Council convoy. The convoy had 10 ships, but they were mostly transports carrying food and medical supplies. They weren't built for fighting. The horizon is moving to intercept, Ryan reported. They're still 10 minutes away. Kate watched the battle unfold. The Vexnar ships had powerful weapons. One by one, the Council transports exploded. Escape pods launched, but not all of them made it away before the ships died. Human ships approaching, the Vexnar commander declared on open channels. Leave this area. This is not your fight. Captain Miller's voice came through the speakers. This is Captain Steve Miller of the CSS Horizon. You are attacking near human territory. We demand you stop your attack and allow us to rescue survivors. The Vexnar laughed, their language translated as harsh and cold. Your demands mean nothing. We give you one choice. Leave now, or be destroyed. Kate tensed. This was exactly the kind of situation Earth Command wanted to avoid. If the Horizon stayed, it might start a war. If they left, innocent lives would be lost. What's Miller going to do? Davis asked quietly. They didn't have to wait long. The Horizon accelerated toward the battle zone, their shields powered up to full strength. Fire all weapons, Miller ordered. Let's save some lives. The CSS Horizon engaged the Vexnar ships. Human weapons were different from both the Council and Vexnar technology. They used railguns and plasma torpedoes. 2 Vexnar fighters exploded under the surprise attack. But the Horizon was alone against 5 enemy ships. They fought well, destroying another enemy vessel, but soon their shields began to fail. They need help, Kate said. We can't send reinforcements, Davis replied, though his fists were clenched. Orders are clear. They watched as the Horizon took heavy damage. Their engines were failing. The Vexnar moved in for the kill. Then something unexpected happened. A Council battlecruiser dropped out of hyperspace. It was the Karani ship Star of Unity. They opened fire on the Vexnar, forcing them to retreat. The Horizon is badly damaged, Ryan reported. They're requesting emergency repairs. They also picked up survivors from the convoy. Tell them to return to base for repairs, Davis ordered, and prepare a full report for Earth Command. Kate knew this would cause problems. Captain Miller had broken the neutrality rule by engaging the Vexnar, but she also knew he had saved lives. Later, as the bridge returned to normal operations, Kate thought about what Ambassador T-Vex had said. The Vexnar saw everyone as either allies or enemies. There was no middle ground in their view of the galaxy. Commander, Davis called her over. I just received a message from Captain Clark. There's been an incident at the edge of the Ross system. A civilian ship went missing. Last contact suggested Vexnar raiders in the area. Kate felt a chill. Civilians? What kind of ship? The Morning Star, a cruise liner with over 2,000 passengers, mostly families visiting the mining colonies. This was getting worse. The war that they had tried so hard to avoid was creeping closer to human space. And now civilians were involved. As she prepared reports on the day's events, Kate wondered how long humanity could walk this dangerous line. On one side was total isolation, which might keep Earth safe but would leave their allies to die. On the other side was war, which could destroy everything they had built. The stars outside the viewport continued their silent battle. Ships died. Escape pods drifted through space. And somewhere out there, a civilian ship full of human families was missing. Tomorrow would bring more decisions, more battles to watch, and more questions about humanity's place in this galactic war. For now, the CSS Defiant continued its patrol, a guardian standing at the edge of a conflict that threatened to consume everything. The war raged on, and humanity watched from the sidelines, knowing that their turn might come sooner than they hoped. The distress signal came at 3 a.m. Captain Steve Miller was in his quarters aboard the CSS Horizon when the alarms woke him up. His ship had just finished repairs from yesterday's fight with the Vexnar. Captain, to the bridge, came the urgent call. Miller ran to the command center. His crew was already working at their stations. What's happening? Distress signal from the civilian sector, sir, said Lieutenant Ryan Cooper. It's the Morning Star cruise liner. They're under attack. Show me. Miller watched the display. As data came in, the Morning Star had 2,000 passengers. The Vexnar had found them. 5 raider ships surrounded the cruise liner, firing at its engines. How far away are we? 20 minutes at maximum speed. Miller's mind raced. Earth. Command had strict orders about staying neutral. But that was before the Vexnar started hunting civilians. Plot a course. Maximum speed. All hands to battle stations. The CSS Horizon jumped to hyperspace. As they traveled, Miller opened a channel to the Morning Star. "This is Captain Miller. We're on our way. Hold on." A woman's voice answered, filled with fear. "Thank God, they're boarding us. They're everywhere." Screams echoed in the background. Then the signal cut out. 20 minutes felt like hours. When the Horizon dropped out of hyperspace, they found the cruise liner drifting in space. Its engines were dead. Emergency lights flickered through the windows. Escape pods floated nearby, some damaged. "Life signs?" Miller asked. "Detecting survivors in the escape pods. The cruise liner still has life support, but barely." 3 Vexnar ships remained, attaching to the Morning Star like parasites. The raiders were still aboard. "Fire warning shots across their bows," Miller ordered. "Open all channels." The Horizon's weapons lit up space. Energy beams passed close to the Vexnar ships. "This is Captain Steve Miller of the CSS Horizon. You are attacking human civilians. Leave immediately or face destruction." The Vexnar commander responded with laughter. "Humans, always so soft. We take what we want. These people are our prizes now." Wrong answer. Miller turned to his weapons. "Officer. Target their engines, disable but don't destroy. We need survivors to tell us what happened." The battle was quick but brutal. The Horizon's weapons were more advanced than the Vexnar raiders expected. 2 ships lost power immediately. The 3rd tried to escape. "Don't let it get away," Miller ordered. The USS Horizon's engines roared with power. They caught the fleeing raider and disabled it too. The 3 enemy ships drifted helplessly. "Boarding teams ready. We're going to rescue our people." Miller led the first team himself. They used assault shuttles to reach the Morning Star. The cruise liner was beautiful, or had been. Now its luxurious halls were damaged by weapon fire. Bodies lay on polished floors. Some were Vexnar raiders, others were passengers who had fought back. "Medical team to Deck 3, someone called over the radio. "We have wounded civilians here." Dr. Amy Roberts hurried with her team. The cruise liner's hospital wing was crowded, with injured people. Children cried for their parents. Adults nursed burns and cuts. "How many?" Miller asked the cruise liner's captain, a woman named Ellen Wright. "We had 2,187 passengers and crew. The escape pods took about 500. Many died when they boarded." She couldn't continue. Miller put a hand on her shoulder. "We're here now. Tell me everything." As Wright explained the attack, Miller learned the Vexnar weren't just raiders. They had deliberately hunted the cruise liner. They wanted hostages to trade with the Galactic Council. When the passengers resisted, they started killing. "My little girl," a man nearby sobbed. He held a blanket, but Miller could see it covered a small body. "She was only 5. They shot her when she tried to hide behind me." Miller felt rage building inside him. Around the room, his crew members showed similar anger. This wasn't war, it was murder. The rescue took 6 hours. They found survivors hiding throughout the ship. Some had fought the Vexnar with improvised weapons. Others had created barriers from furniture. In the end, 847 people had died. Over 1,300 needed medical care. The survivors had stories that burned into Miller's mind. They laughed. One passenger said, "When people begged for mercy, they laughed." Back aboard the Horizon, Miller faced a hard choice. Earth Command needed to know what happened, but the survivors needed help immediately. The nearest human medical station was 3 days away. The Council had better facilities, just 1 day away. He made the call to Ambassador Grace Wilson on Earth. "Ambassador, we have a situation. The Morning Star was attacked. Nearly 850 dead, including many children. We need to get survivors to medical care now." Wilson's face showed shock. Captain, you know our position. Forget positions. Miller interrupted. These are human civilians. I'm taking them to the nearest medical facility. That happens to be Council Station Omega. You're putting them in danger. The Vexnar could attack again. The Vexnar already attacked. We're out of time for discussions. Miller ended the call and turned to his crew. Set course for Council Station Omega. Maximum speed. The journey to the Council Station was tense. Miller kept thinking about the survivors, especially the children. Little Lucy, whose parents had died protecting her. Tommy and Sarah, orphaned siblings trying to comfort each other. So many families destroyed in one night. When they arrived at Station Omega, the council races responded immediately. Medical teams swarmed the horizon, taking the wounded to advanced healing facilities. The Karani ambassador T-Vex personally greeted Miller. Captain, your actions today showed great courage, but they also put you at odds with your government's policy. My government's policy didn't help those families, Miller replied. T-Vex nodded slowly. The Vexnar have been raiding civilian ships for months. We tried to warn Earth Command. They prefer neutrality. People are dying. How can anyone stay neutral to murder? The station's communication center buzzed with activity. News of the Morning Star attack spread quickly. Human colonies were calling for action. Vexnar forces were bragging about their victory. Miller went to check on the survivors. In the station's hospital, Dr. Roberts was working with alien doctors to save lives. Advanced healing technology helped, but some injuries were too severe. He found Lucy, the 5-year-old girl, sitting with a Lumina nurse, the energy being glowed softly, trying to comfort the child. Hello, Lucy. Miller knelt down. How are you feeling? She didn't answer. Her eyes were unfocused, still seeing horrors from the attack. We're going to take you somewhere safe, he promised. The bad guys won't hurt you again. As he stood up, Miller's communication device buzzed. A priority message from Admiral John Davis. Captain Miller, return to Earth immediately. You have violated direct orders and will face a military tribunal. Miller felt tired suddenly. He had saved over 1,300 lives, but his military career was over. Still, looking at the survivors, he knew he had done the right thing. Back on the horizon, his crew was angry. This is wrong, said Lieutenant Cooper. You saved those people. Earth Command should thank you, not punish you. We knew the rules, Miller sighed. But sometimes rules have to be broken. They began the journey back to Earth. Along the way, more reports came in. Other Vexnar raiders were attacking human ships. Small attacks, testing defenses. Earth Command ordered ships to avoid engagement unless directly threatened. The galaxy was learning about the Morning Star attack. Some species praised Miller's actions. Others criticized Earth for weakness. The Vexnar mocked humanity as too soft to survive. 3 days later, they approached Earth. Miller expected arrest and court-martial. Instead, Admiral Davis met him. In orbit. Captain Miller, your actions have changed everything. The public knows about the Morning Star. They're demanding action against the Vexnar. What happens now? That depends on what the Vexnar do next, Davis said gravely. But Captain, prepare your ship. We may need heroes like you before this is over. Miller understood. The time for neutrality was ending. The Morning Star was just the beginning. In the depths of space, the Vexnar Empire was preparing for something bigger. They had tested human resolve and found it wanting, but what they didn't understand was that they had awakened something dangerous. The human passengers of the Morning Star had families, friends, neighbors who would hear about the massacre. Every colony, every ship, every military installation now knew the truth about the Vexnar. The seed of war had been planted. Now it would grow. The war came to New Haven without warning. The colony world had been peaceful for 30 years. 5 million people lived there, growing food for other human settlements. Children played in green parks. People worked in farms and factories. They had never expected to see war. Captain Derek Scott commanded the CSS Victory patrolling near New Haven. His ship was old but reliable. Commander Rachel Adams led the CSS Freedom, a newer vessel with better weapons. Together they protected the colony and its orbital stations. Quiet day, Scott said that morning. The sun rose over New Haven's blue oceans. From space, the planet looked like Earth. Green continents, white clouds, city lights visible on the night side. Too quiet, Adams replied over the communication channel. My sensors are showing some strange readings at the edge of the system. Probably space dust. Run another scan. But it wasn't space dust. At 10:47 a.m. local time, 20 Vexnar warships dropped out of hyperspace. They moved in perfect formation, their weapons already charging. Scott's voice crackled over the colony's emergency channels. All stations. This is the Victory. We are under attack. Evacuate coastal regions. Immediately. The Vexnar didn't waste time with words. Their first shots targeted New Haven's orbital defense platforms. The massive stations exploded in silent fury, debris raining down on the planet below. Freedom, form up on my position, Scott ordered. We need to protect the civilians. The two human ships were badly outnumbered, but they fought. The Victory and Freedom danced between the enemy ships, firing their weapons with desperate precision. They destroyed 3 Vexnar fighters but lost their shields quickly. On the planet's surface, sirens wailed in every city. People ran for shelters. Parents grabbed their children. Hospitals began preparing for casualties. In New Haven City, the capital, Mayor Lisa Clark watched the battle from the command center. She saw the 2 human ships fighting against impossible odds. We need more ships, she said to her staff. Call Earth Command. Call anyone who can help. The CSS Victory took a direct hit. Its engine room exploded. Captain Scott ordered damage control teams to emergency stations, but the ship was dying. All hands, abandon ship, Scott finally ordered. Freedom, cover our escape pods. Rachel Adams watched her friend's ship fall apart. The Victory broke into pieces, escape pods launching like dandelion seeds. Many didn't make it through the enemy fire. This is the freedom to all survivors. Adams broadcast. We're coming for you. Hold on. But the Vexnar had other plans. Half their fleet turned toward the planet itself. No, Adams screamed as she realized their intention. They're going to attack the surface. The Vexnar used orbital bombardment weapons. Beams of energy struck New Haven City's shields. The defensive barriers held for 10 minutes before failing. Then, the real destruction began. In the streets, people looked up as the sky turned red. The first energy beam hit the financial district. Buildings taller than mountains melted in seconds. 10,000 people died instantly. More beams fell across the city. The shopping center where families bought groceries. The school where children learned their lessons. The hospital that treated the sick. All vanished in light and heat. Dr. Catherine Hayes was working in her lab at the edge of the city. She specialized in advanced physics, studying quantum energy. Her lab was supposed to be safe, protected by special shields. The power systems are failing, her assistant David shouted over the alarms. We need to evacuate. Wait. Catherine looked at her computer screens. The quantum drive they had been developing was reacting to the attack. Energy readings were off the charts. Outside, the sky filled with smoke. The beautiful blue atmosphere of New Haven turned black. Fires spread from the destroyed areas. People fled in panic. Commander Adams fought to save what she could. The Freedom limped between the attack ships, its weapons firing at every target. She managed to destroy 2 more enemy ships, but her own vessel was failing. To all Council forces, she broadcast on open channels. New Haven is under attack. We need immediate assistance. Repeat, immediate assistance. No one answered. The nearest Council ships were days away, fighting their own battles. The bombardment continued for hours. New Haven City became a graveyard. The orbiting Vexnar ships took turns attacking different targets. They destroyed spaceports to prevent escape. They targeted power plants to cause chaos. They hit water treatment facilities to spread disease. Underground, in the emergency bunkers, survivors huddled together. Medical staff worked on the wounded. Children cried for their parents. The air smelled of smoke and fear. David Mills, a reporter for the Colony News Network, recorded everything with his camera. He broadcast images of the destruction to all human worlds. "They're not fighting soldiers," he narrated. "They're killing families. This is genocide." By sunset, 3 million people were dead. The beautiful colony was in ruins. Entire cities had been erased. The ocean was filled with debris. "We can't hold much longer," Adams reported to Earth Command. "The Freedom is at 20% power. We've lost half our crew." Earth Command could only watch. Their nearest reinforcements were a week away. The Galactic Council was too far to help. As night fell over New Haven, something strange happened. Dr. Catherine Hayes contacted Adams from her damaged lab. "Commander, I have discovered something. The quantum energy readings during the attack, they created a unique pattern. I think I understand how to weaponize the quantum drive." "What are you saying, Doctor?" "I'm saying we might have a weapon powerful enough to end this war. But it's theoretical. Dangerous." Adams felt a spark of hope. "We're already dying, Doctor. Tell me everything." While Hayes explained her discovery, the Vexnar continued their assault. They announced their victory to the galaxy. "Let this be a lesson to all species. Those who defy the Vexnar Empire will suffer the same fate." The supreme commander of the Vexnar fleet, a massive warrior named Cross, sent a message directly to Earth. "Your colony burns. Your ships are destroyed. This is only the beginning. Submit to our empire or watch all your worlds burn." On Earth, people watched the news broadcasts in horror. Videos from New Haven showed the terrible reality of war. Bodies in the streets, buildings reduced to ash, children searching for their parents among the rubble. President Sarah Mitchell called an emergency meeting of Earth's leaders. "The time for neutrality is over. The Vexnar have shown their true nature. They don't just want to win a war, they want to destroy us." Military advisors presented their analysis. General Alan Wright explained their options. "We can surrender and hope for mercy. We can hide behind our defenses and pray they don't attack again. Or we can fight." "What are our chances if we fight?" Mitchell asked. "Poor. The Vexnar fleet outnumbers us. Their technology is different but effective. In a direct war we might survive, but at terrible cost." In her lab on New Haven, now surrounded by ruins, Dr. Hayes worked frantically. She sent all her research to Earth Command. "The quantum cascade weapon," her data read. "Theoretical but possible. Could end the war. But the consequences were terrible. The weapon could destroy entire fleets instantly, but it also might tear space-time itself. It was a danger to everyone in the galaxy." Back in his office, Admiral Davis reviewed Hayes's research. His hands shook as he read. "This could save us, or it could doom us all." He picked up the phone to call the president. The decision would change human history forever. Meanwhile, Commander Adams and the damaged Freedom continued fighting. They couldn't save New Haven, but they could slow the enemy. Every minute of survival gave Earth more time to prepare. The Vexnar grew impatient. They had won the battle but wanted total victory. "Finish them," Cross ordered. Then we moved to the next colony. The enemy ships circled for their final attack. Adams and her crew prepared for death. They had fought well. They had saved some civilians. It would have to be enough. Just then, a message arrived from deep space. It was from Kate Bennett, aboard the CSS Defiant. "Rachel, hold on. We're coming. And we're not coming alone." Through the smoke of battle, Adams saw hope on the horizon. But she also knew that war had finally come to humanity. The peaceful days were over. Now they would learn what they were truly capable of when pushed to their limit. The broadcast came at midnight, Earth time. President Sarah Mitchell stood before cameras in the White House. Her face was hard, her eyes cold. "Citizens of Earth and our colonies," she began. "Today the Vexnar Empire committed an act of genocide. They attacked New Haven without warning. They murdered 3 million civilians. Children, parents, grandparents, all innocent lives lost." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. For too long we have tried to stay neutral in this galactic war. We believed we could avoid the violence that has consumed so many worlds. Today we learned that neutrality is not an option when facing evil. Her voice grew stronger. I am declaring war on the Vexnar Empire. Every human, every ship, every weapon will be turned toward one goal: the destruction of our enemy. Across human space, the message was clear. The time for peace had ended. At Titan Research Station near Saturn, Dr. Nicholas Freeman read Dr. Hayes's quantum cascade data for the 5th time. Other scientists gathered around him, their faces showing both excitement and fear. "This is incredible," said Dr. Amy Roberts, now recovered from New Haven. "And terrifying. The power levels are off any scale we've ever seen." "Can we build it?" Freeman asked. "The theory is solid. We'd need to modify existing quantum drives." Roberts pointed to the numbers. "Look here, the energy required could tear a hole in space itself." "How long to build a prototype?" Roberts calculated quickly. "With full resources, 12 hours, but testing could take weeks." "We don't have weeks," Freeman said. "Get me Earth Command." Meanwhile, the CSS Nemesis finished loading its cargo. Captain Jacob Turner commanded the newest warship in the human fleet. His crew was the best, veterans who had survived their first battles with the Vexnar. "Status report," Turner asked his first officer, Linda Hayes. "Quantum cascade weapon installed. Shields at maximum, all systems green. The crew is ready." Turner looked out at Earth. The blue planet seemed peaceful, but he knew millions of people were mourning. Friends, family members lost at New Haven. The attack had united humanity in a way nothing else could. Plot course for the Vexnar frontier. Maximum speed. As the Nemesis accelerated, Turner received updates from across human space. Every military ship was mobilizing. The CSS Sovereign, CSS Defiant, and dozens of others joined the fleet. Even the damaged CSS Freedom, now repaired, would participate. But humanity wasn't the only one preparing. The Vexnar Supreme Commander cross-gathered his war council. "The humans declare war," he laughed. "They cannot win. They are young, weak. One colony destroyed has broken them." "My lord," one advisor said carefully, "intelligence reports show strange activity at their research stations. They may be developing new weapons. Let them develop whatever they wish. Our empire has conquered 100 species. Humans will join that list." Cross ordered his fleet to prepare for invasion. "We will not wait for them to attack. We will bring war to their homeworld." Back on Earth, people dealt with grief and anger in different ways. In London, crowds gathered outside Parliament demanding action. In Tokyo, Buddhist monks held ceremonies for the dead of New Haven. In New York, military recruitment centers saw long lines of volunteers. Dr. Catherine Hayes, evacuated from New Haven, worked with Freeman's team. She had survived the bombardment by hiding in her lab's shelter. Now she focused all her energy on perfecting the quantum cascade weapon. "The mathematics are beautiful," she told the team. "But the weapon creates a chain reaction. Once started, it's hard to control." "Explain it simply," General Wright asked during a video conference. "Imagine dropping a stone in water. The ripples spread out. This weapon drops a stone in space-time itself. The ripples can destroy everything in their path." "Range?" "Potentially unlimited. It could affect multiple star systems." The room fell silent. The weapon they had created could end the war, or end everything. "Can we test it safely?" the president asked. "We should test it," Freeman replied. "But we may not have time. The Vexnar are mobilizing their full fleet." Earth Command faced an impossible choice. Use an untested weapon that might save humanity, or wait and watch as the enemy attacked more colonies. In space, the human fleet assembled near Mars. 100 ships formed up, the largest military force humanity had ever gathered. The CSS Nemesis led them, its new weapon hidden in carefully shielded compartments. Captain Turner gave a speech to his crew as they prepared for battle. "We are not going to meet the enemy as conquerors. We go as defenders. They chose this war. We will end it." His words spread to every ship in the fleet. Warriors who had been farmers and teachers and artists prepared for combat. They were not bred for war like the Vexnar. They were people forced to fight. The Vexnar fleet was impressive. 300 warships, each built for destruction. They moved through space with deadly beauty, their formation perfect, their weapons charged. The fleets met at the edge of human space, in the empty system called Haven's Gate. Both sides paused, studying each other across the void. For a moment, peace still seemed possible. Then the Vexnar opened fire. The battle began with traditional weapons. Energy beams crossed the darkness. Ships exploded in bright flashes. Humans fought with desperate courage, while the Vexnar pressed forward with overwhelming numbers. The CSS Defiant lost its left engine. The CSS Sovereign's shields failed. But the human ships fought on, using every trick they had learned from years of research. "They're good," Cross admitted to his second-in-command. "Better than expected, but they cannot win." On the Nemesis Bridge, Turner watched the battle hologram. His fleet was holding, but barely. They needed to end this quickly. "Prepare the quantum cascade weapon," he ordered. "Sir?" Linda Hayes hesitated. "Dr. Freeman sent a message. The weapon is still experimental. The effects could be unpredictable." Turner looked at the battle display. 3 human ships had been destroyed. More were damaged. He thought of New Haven, of the children who had died, of the families destroyed. "Fire in 30 seconds. All ships, clear the target zone." The countdown began. The human fleet received the order and began a coordinated retreat. The Vexnar, sensing weakness, pressed their attack harder. 10 seconds to weapon discharge. All power to the quantum drive. The Nemesis vibrated with gathered energy. Warning. Lights flashed across the ship. The quantum cascade weapon drew power from the ship's reactor. More energy than any human weapon had ever used. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. "Fire!" A beam of pure white light shot from the Nemesis. It didn't travel like normal weapons. Instead, it seemed to tear through space itself, creating ripples that expanded in all directions. The Vexnar flagship, Pride of the Empire, was the first to be hit. The ship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, torn apart at the atomic level. The quantum cascade spread outward. "My God," whispered the sensor officer. "It's not stopping." The cascade effect continued, expanding faster than light. 10 Vexnar ships vanished. 20, 50. The energy tore through their formation, dissolving matter and energy alike. Cross had time for one thought before his own ship was consumed. What have they done? On human ships, crews watched in awe and terror. The quantum cascade was working, but it was more powerful than anyone had predicted. The energy waves began to affect nearby asteroids, breaking them down to their basic components. "We need to contain it," Turner said urgently. Hayes cut power to the weapon. "It's not responding. The cascade is self-sustaining." Earth Command watched the battle through remote sensors. The quantum cascade had destroyed half the Vexnar fleet. But now it might spread uncontrollably. Freeman and his team worked frantically. "We need to create a counter-frequency. Use the other ship's quantum drives to cancel out the wave." Nemesis, the order came from Earth. All ships with quantum drives synchronized to the following frequency. "We're going to stop this." The human fleet acted as one. Every working quantum drive on every ship fired in unison, creating a cancellation wave. For a moment, space itself seemed to bend and twist. Then, silence. The quantum cascade stopped. In its wake was devastation. The Vexnar fleet was gone. More than 200 warships had been destroyed in less than a minute. The remaining Vexnar ships, those that had been too far away to be caught in the cascade, turned and fled. Their empire's military might had been broken in a few seconds. A fury. Turner slumped in his captain's chair. "Status report. The weapon burned out. We have no quantum drive, but we're alive. Casualties? None on our fleet. The cascade only affected the Vexnar ships." Turner nodded. The weapon had worked better than anyone dared hope, But he also understood that humanity had unleashed something terrible. They had created a power that shouldn't exist. As his crew celebrated victory, Turner thought about the future. The Vexnar would remember this day. The entire galaxy would. Humanity was no longer the weak, neutral race trying to avoid war. They had become something else. Something that could end a galactic war in just 1 hour. And everyone in the universe would wonder what else were humans capable of. The Vexnar overlord tried to surrender at the 59th minute. From the command ship that had been farthest from the quantum cascade, a desperate message came through. Humans, we yield. The war is over. We surrender. But Captain Linda Hayes, now in command after Turner's ship was damaged, denied the surrender. You killed millions of our civilians. You gave no mercy. Now you will receive none. The final assault began. Human ships, now without their quantum cascade weapons but still angry, pushed toward the Vexnar homeworld. The few remaining enemy ships fought desperately but were overwhelmed. As the human fleet approached the Vexnar capital system, a dozen galactic council ships appeared. Leading them was Ambassador T-Vex aboard the massive council flagship Unity. Human fleet, this is Ambassador T-Vex. Please halt your advance. The war has been won. The war ends when we say it ends, Hayes replied coldly. The Vexnar have surrendered. Further action would be genocide. You would become what you fought against. The words made Hayes pause. Her crew looked to her for orders. Through the viewport, they could see the Vexnar homeworld, a planet with gray oceans and red continents. Captain, her first officer said quietly, we've already destroyed their military. Billions of civilians live down there. Hayes thought of New Haven, of the children who had died. But she also thought of Lucy, the 5-year-old survivor. What kind of universe would Lucy grow up in if humans became the monsters they had fought? Stand down weapons, Hayes ordered. But maintain position. They surrender on our terms. The surrender ceremony happened on Council Station Omega. Human military leaders met with the surviving Vexnar commanders. The Vexnar, once proud warriors, now looked defeated. Their empire was broken, their fleet destroyed. Your terms? The Vexnar representative asked. Admiral John Davis, representing Earth, laid out the conditions. Complete disarmament, all military, ships decommissioned, independent monitors to oversee your government, war crime trials for those responsible for New Haven, reparations to human families. The Vexnar signed without argument. Their empire had ruled through strength. Now that strength was gone. In the following days, the galaxy watched humanity with new eyes. The young race that had tried to stay neutral had ended a war in 1 hour. The quantum cascade weapon became legendary. Dr. Catherine Hayes continued her research but under strict controls. The weapon was too dangerous to ever use again. We created something terrible, she told the research committee. We must ensure it's never used again. The council races who had fought the Vexnar for centuries struggled to understand. They had lost millions of soldiers, spent decades in combat. Humans had ended it in 60 minutes. Ambassador Grace Wilson explained to the council, we didn't want this war, but when forced to fight, we fight completely. We learned from studying the conflict, we developed new technology, we adapted. Your species is more advanced than we thought, T-Vex admitted. Not more advanced, just different. We think differently, act differently. The treaty created new boundaries. The Vexnar Empire was reduced to a single star system, heavily monitored. Their warrior culture would have to change or disappear. Some adapted, becoming peaceful traders. Others found it too hard and took their own lives. On Earth, people celebrated, but the victory felt hollow. New Haven remained a scar on humanity's soul. The colony was slowly rebuilt, but the 3 million dead couldn't be brought back. Dr. William Ross studied the quantum cascade's effects on spacetime. The weapon worked by destabilizing the fabric of reality itself. We were lucky it could be stopped. Next time, we might not be. Engineer Benjamin Clark helped design new defense systems. We can't ever let ourselves be vulnerable again. But we also can't become the aggressors. We need balance. The Galactic Council underwent changes too. Humans were invited to join as equal members. Some races welcomed this. Others feared the newcomers who had such terrible power. The CSS Nemesis was retired and turned into a museum. Tourists came to see the ship that had changed galactic history. Captain Jacob Turner's final report became required reading in military academies. The quantum cascade saved humanity, but it also showed us the responsibility of power. We must never become like our enemies. Months later, the survivors of New Haven gathered for a memorial service. Captain Steve Miller spoke to the crowd, his voice carrying across the rebuilt city. We remember those we lost. We honor their memory by building a future where such atrocities never happen again. Young Lucy stood in the crowd, holding hands with her new adoptive parents. She was one of hundreds of orphans who had found new families after the attack. Her trauma remained, but she was learning to heal. The war crimes trials continued. Many Vexnar officers faced justice. Some showed remorse. Others remained defiant to the end. The galaxy learned about accountability and justice between species. Human ships now patrolled the borders of former Vexnar space. They maintained order without cruelty. The human approach became a model for others. Strong defense, measured response, ultimate mercy. President Sarah Mitchell addressed the United Assembly of Earth 6 months after the war. We have shown the galaxy our strength. Now we must show them our wisdom. The quantum cascade must remain a secret known only to us. Its power is too dangerous to share. The records of the weapon were classified at the highest levels. Only a few scientists knew its full specifications. It became humanity's ultimate deterrent, whispered about, but never explained. The Vexnar survivors faced a choice: adapt or fade away. Many chose peace, learning new skills, building different societies. A generation later, young Vexnar knew war only from history books. Ambassador T-Vex visited Earth a year after the war. He walked through the streets of New York, amazed by the bustling life. "You surprised us all," he told Sarah Mitchell during dinner. "We expected either weakness or barbarism from new species. You showed controlled strength." "We surprised ourselves," Mitchell replied honestly. "The war forced us to discover who we are as a people." Human colonies expanded carefully, remembering the lesson of New Haven. Each settlement had powerful defenses, but also engaged in trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. The quantum cascade was never used again. Humanity developed other technologies: clean energy, medical advances, space exploration tools. They shared these with allies but kept military secrets close. Kate Bennett, promoted to captain of the CSS Defiant, led exploration missions to new star systems. She found peaceful races and helped establish first contact protocols. "We meet new species with open hands now," she reported, "but we keep one hand ready for defense." Space itself seemed different after the war. The location where the quantum cascade had torn through reality showed unusual properties. Some scientists thought it had created a permanent change in that region of space. Children in human schools learned about the Great Vexnar War as a cautionary tale. Teachers emphasized the cost of the victory, not just its triumph. "We won because we had to," they taught. Survival demanded it. But we never want to face such a choice again. The galaxy settled into a new order. Humans joined the Galactic Council as equals, bringing fresh perspectives to old problems. They helped negotiate peace between other species, drawing from their experience. Years later, former enemies sometimes worked together. A Vexnar engineer served on a human science vessel. A human doctor treated Vexnar patients on their homeworld. The healing was slow but real. The legend of the war grew with time. In alien cantinas across the galaxy, spacers traded stories about the day humans ended a galactic war in just 1 hour. Some tales were exaggerated, but the core truth remained. Humanity had shown what they could do when pushed too far. In her final years, Dr. Catherine Hayes often thought about that day. She had helped create a weapon that killed without mercy. Did we do the right thing? She sometimes wondered aloud. Her assistant, now Dr. David Mills, always had the same answer. We saved our species. We ended the war. That it happened in 1 hour? That's what makes it remarkable, not horrible. The quantum cascade became a myth, a legend, a cautionary tale. Other species knew humans possessed terrible power, but had chosen not to use it again. This knowledge created both fear and respect throughout the galaxy. Humanity had entered the galactic stage as observers, trying to avoid conflict. They emerged as a power that demanded respect. The day an alien's wrath ended a galactic war in just 1 hour became the moment when humanity proved they belonged among the stars. And in that hour of fury, they had shown the universe that sometimes the most peaceful people fight the hardest when they are finally forced to fight. The war had ended, but the legend of humanity's power had just begun.